Hey guys, Loot Wizard here with another Soul Forge video for Gems of War, and it's a new week, so we have new stuff here going on. So as always, I'm going to go check out the Forge. We're going to take a look here at the weapons first. And there's a couple of good weapons I would say in here. First of all, being Reaver, this thing works really good with a Tauros team. This thing will create 4 red gems boosted by Tauros allies, and the boost ratio is 3, so it'll create 12 red gems with that boost ratio if you have a full 4 Tauros team, plus 4, so it should create like 16 red gems if my math is correct on that. Plus it does a little bit of damage, and that's pretty good with that team. Primal Axe is pretty generic. I'm not really going to recommend that. Doom them all. Heavy splash damage, it's okay, but I like the ones that convert skulls better, but it's not too bad. But the other one that I think is really good here is Wild Cleaver, which this explodes 27 green gems. It'll grant a random status effect to all Wild Plains allies, and then it will summon a Wild Plains troop. So exploding gems really good here. I like that, and it works really good with the Wild Plains allies, and this is a weapon. With the current event, we're going to be using Wild Plains allies this week, so this weapon is the one I'm probably going to use the most for that. And I'll show you a team a little bit later here that I'm using with that. A Horned Cleaver, it's okay, but it's another just generic one of these weapons that generates mana for Tauros, and you're better off, in my opinion, using something like Wild Cleaver, because it's going to give a positive status effect to those, and then it'll also summon, plus it's generating mana. Whereas these types of weapons just generate mana, and the mana is based on the troops for that team surviving. So the more your troops that die, you're going to generate less mana for that. So weapons like or weapons like the Wild Cleaver here are better, in my opinion, than those. So moving on here to troops. Nothing really crazy for legendaries, and nothing like extremely crazy here for mythics. But there is the Arachnian Weaver we have for mythic, and it's at the 2,000 price point there. So just like last week, I'm going to recommend this. For 2,000 diamonds, what this troop does is just absolutely amazing. So I would say if you can afford the 2,000 diamonds and you do not have Arachnian Weaver yet, I would say go for it. It's a pretty amazing mythic troop. And Ironhawk is a really good mythic troop as well. I do like this thing. It creates 12 Doom Skulls, then it explodes 14 gems. So at a lower level, this probably won't be as good because the amount of gems that it explodes is based on your current magic level. But the other thing that's really great about this is it'll deal 5 damage to all enemies when an ally casts a spell. And that's you got to unlock that last trait, but that is pretty good. And this thing does quite a bit of damage for me at this point. I think it does somewhere around maybe 60 damage or so on average every time I cast it to the first troop. Just because it explodes all those Doom Skulls, and that's quite a bit of damage there. The Archduke. This thing will deal damage. There's a percentage equal to its magic to destroy them. So there is some lethal magic here, or lethal kills going on. And it gains 3 magic when your turn begins. So it will continue to increase its magic level until it gets to a point where it's definitely 100%. But it takes a while to get to that point. And as you can see here, it starts out with 26. So for me, it starts out with 26 here, and that will have to go, quite a ways high in order for me to really reliably cast this thing. And that's why I haven't really used it. I don't really recommend it too often, but I would recommend something like Arachnian Weaver over the Archduke because it's just kind of unreliable with that percentage chance. But Ironhawk is pretty good too. I would say Arachnian Weaver is probably a little better, and then Ironhawk is there as a second. And then probably the Archduke over the Shade of Zorn. Shade of Zorn, I never talk about good at all, because it's just the orc troops really just are not good. So I would get Arachnian Weaver probably number 1 for me this week as far as the mythic goes, and then Ironhawk is number 2, Archduke, and then Shade of Zorn last. Oh yeah, I forgot about Elamogrim. Elamogrim's in here too, but I'd say Ironhawk is still better than Elamogrim, but Elamogrim is probably more reliable than the Archduke. So to revise that really quick, the Arachnian Weaver is number 1. Number 2 is probably still Ironhawk, and then 3 would be Elamogrim, 4 would be Archduke, and then in last place would be Shade of Zorn. Now, as an honorable mention here for legendaries, I would say Sir Quentin Hadley is a pretty good legendary. But is he worth crafting? No, I would wait. You can get him in keys. You can get legendaries a lot easier in keys than you can mythics. So, yeah, that's what I think about the troops and the weapons there for this week. And we have a new troop in the shop real quick here. Let's take a look at it. We have the Storm Chaser. You can get this new troop along with trade stones. And it is a pretty good deal this week because we have for 400 glory you get 2 arcane light trade stones. That's a really good deal. So whenever these things happen like this, I like to stock up on quite a bit of them because you never know when you're going to need them for new troops to come out. There'll be a new mythic that comes out, new legendary, and you get it and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I need trade stones for that. But yeah, so that's probably the easiest way to get trade stones. You can farm for them in the game and get them for free by just playing, but it really is the easiest way just to save your glory and do that right there. So, all right, let's go check out the event here. It's called Storm Chaser Song, and this event is Wild Plains Allies. We have portals later on in like 3.5 days, but you know, we'll see what time I have to create a video for that maybe. But yeah, let's go in here. I was playing around with this a little bit. I already bought the stuff in the shop. It does, just go back here and confirm, the metal for this event does do 160% skull and spell damage. So you can combine the two together, or you can try to make a team that's all spell or all skull damage. So weapons are restricted to this kingdom. Troop restrictions, this whole event is restricted to Wild Plains allies, and that includes your weapons. So looking at this team, since we're doing extra, I kind of did a little bit of mix of extra skull and spell damage here, mostly skull, but a little bit of spell damage with Ketris the Bull. And we don't have a lot of troops to work with here, and a lot of these troops in this kingdom are single spell damaging troops. Ketris the Bull, if you have it, is really amazing all around, but for this event too, because we're going to be doing splash damage with it, and it's boosted by its attack, life, and armor. So we're going to get a lot of damage with this guy. And then Lord of Slaughter is a part of this kingdom, and this is one of the best mythics in the game. So we got him in there. It's going to be awesome to do skull damage with that, with its ability here, because we're getting 160% extra skull damage. And then as you can see, instead of having the Lord of Slaughter in the first spot, I have Savage Hunter. And Savage Hunter, its first trait that you unlock, it'll place a Hunter's Mark on enemies when doing skull damage. It also does double damage, skull damage to green enemies. But Hunter's Mark here will deal 1.5 attack damage, and it ignores traits. So I think that's what it does. No, that's Enraged over here. Hunter's Mark, it deals double damage from skulls. So, but there is a chance to get Enraged here, because when an enemy dies, then the troop gets enraged, and then you'll have that extra skull damage attack where it can ignore the trait. So then also with its spell, it's kind of weird. It has a 50% chance to hit the wrong enemy, but if the enemy uses green, you'll deal triple spell damage there. So that's pretty cool, on top of getting the 160% bonus. Plus, it's a really low mana cost. You only have 9 mana here. But I'm probably going to leave it full most of the time and not use its ability there. I'm just going to use its first trait to get that extra skull damage. And we're going to create skulls with Lord of Slaughter. The weapon I'm using for this is the Wild Cleaver. This thing will explode green gems, and then it grants a random status effect to Wild Plains allies, and it will summon a Wild Plains troop if there is a spot for it. So if one of my guys dies, then I can summon another one, and they're all Wild Plains troops because that's what we're restricted to. So this right here, they'll all get a positive status effect. And so I'm using a brown and green banner. As far as class, I'm using the Shaman class because that's the Tauros class here. And it also, if you want to lock the traits on this, that it has all Tauros allies start with 50% mana. That's pretty awesome. The abilities here aren't really super amazing, but you do have Root Trap, which is awesome. It'll entangle the first enemy at the start of the battle. And I think I'm going to change this to a Leaf Storm since we're going to be exploding green gems. That's pretty cool. So, and there really isn't like too many other things that are crazy in here, but getting that half mana start on Tauros allies is pretty cool. So I think that's pretty much it. We're just going to kind of rely on our weapon to do all of the mana generation, but we also have potions of enchantment and explosion because we bought stuff at the shop. So but we'll see here. These are all low level enemies, and this is going to be a cakewalk for like the first few minutes here because I didn't really play around with it too much, so all these battles are really low level right now. But I'm pretty sure this team can carry me like really high, especially with all this extra skull damage. It's just going to be super amazing. We'll explode here. Everything gets a positive status effect. And let's see, what can I match? We'll do blue there. And we didn't get a skull to match. That's unfortunate. Guess I can do that. Then they get a skull. Well, now we can do Doom Skulls. Boom. Didn't do as much as I thought, but it's alright. There we go. Yeah, I don't even know how to calculate how much damage really is going on here. We're going to have to see here in a minute when it gets up to a higher level. As long as it doesn't get entangled, we're pretty good. I could explode here, but there wasn't too many green gems on the board. Use that skull, and actually the Cutlass here is probably going to annihilate both of those. It's nice having a combination of the spell and the... Now we're down to a level 10 battle. This is going to take a little bit to get me up there. But this is pretty intense as far as a team goes because I have 2 mythics in there. So most people probably don't have that. They probably don't have the weapon. And with, like I said earlier, most of the troops in this kingdom do single target damage, so you're probably stuck with some troops that are just going to hit one enemy at a time. And your weapon is also restricted to this kingdom, so you don't have things like Ming, Earth's Fury, anything that'll like do extra. Wow, that was bad luck right there. I created all of those Doom Skulls and not a single one matched. I was pretty bad luck because the Lord of Slaughter creates 6 brown gems and then turns those into Doom Skulls. So, it's almost like you should get a guaranteed skull connect, you would think. But, yeah. Explode this. That was enough damage right there. All these battles are still level 10. Wow. I really don't even understand how that system works. These events. Like, is it that, if you keep doing one floor or whatever you want to call them over and over and over, that one levels up, or does it jump around? I've seen it jump around, like, you know, like if you focus in on one of these, then all of a sudden one of these other ones will be leveled up. But what happens if you do, like, each one of these once? Do they all level up? I don't know. Or is it just all random? I have no idea. There we go, get some massive skull damage going on with that Savage Hunter. I like it when my weapon fills up right away so I can explode the board. It's really nice. Get rid of that guy. Now I'm entangled, so... Oh, it just got untangled. But Catcher's the Bow should be able to kill all three of those. And see, now this one over here is level 49, and I'm pretty sure I didn't even do that floor, or that little room, or whatever you call them. So I think it's just random. And now I got 3 of them that are 20 and 1 that's 10. And but anyway, that's this weapon is really good for this event because it's all allies. Now, like I said, a lot of these troops are gonna be, you know, single target and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, if you don't have those mythics, Skeleros, double the number of skulls on the board and create 2 skulls. That could be good. Sun Weaver is going to give attack, armor, and life to an ally. 6 mana. That could be good. There's another cheap troop in here that I saw. Midge Swarm right here. This thing could be good. So we'll try some of this stuff real quick just to see. But if we don't have Catchers, we don't have Lord of Slaughter. This is heavy splash damage to one enemy. And splash damage. Is there anything else in here that's any good? Must this just attack a single enemy? We still could put Savage Hunter in here and do that. And maybe that. I don't know how much this troop actually does. Deal 40 scatter damage to all enemies twice, so that's 80 damage, and then 160, so it's more than double that. It might do a lot of damage. I don't know. Not quite sure. It annihilated that whole team, but these guys are pretty small. Here's a level 62 battle. Let's see how it does against that. Like this right here, we could do that. It's going to give it all that extra attack. Get crazy with skull damage on that thing. I'm not too impressed with the Hornet, but it is scatter damage, so once you kill a couple enemies, then it gets easier to kill more. I don't know. It's not a whole lot of options really as far as troops go there. As far as weapons, you don't have a ton of choices either. You got the ruby staff, which might be okay. As I already pointed out, I like the wild cleaver here because it explodes. But you could also use the rage reaver if you get 4 Tauros allies. You got to be careful because this Wild Plains Kingdom doesn't always have a Tauros ally. There's like war gear and some other types of troops in here. Like this is just a beast, but it's Wild Plains, so you got to be careful if you're using the Rage Reaver because the boost only happens with Tauros allies. So anyway, guys, that's some of my thoughts on this week's events and the Soul Forge and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'll see if I have time later this week to do a video for the raid boss and what team I can come up with for that. So yeah, that's it for this Soul Forge video. So thanks for watching, guys, as always, and I will see you on the next one. Later.